In what may be one of the biggest cases of election interference, Reddit.com is effectively shutting down the largest Trump supporter forum on the internet, and in fact, one of the most influential communities on the internet, period. I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking about a subreddit called The Donald. It's a place where Trump supporters gather, share memes and stories, and they have been feuding with the Reddit administrators for a really long time. It was announced the other day, and this has been an ongoing thing, so I'll try and break this down for you. The administrators of Reddit have removed several of the moderators, the people who actually run the subreddit, and are going to be replacing them with administration-approved individuals because they're claiming the other people that were removed weren't doing their jobs effectively. This is complete BS. Do not trust any of the Reddit administrators. And let me just slow down. I know a lot of people might not be super familiar with how Reddit works, but it is one of the most popular websites in the world. We are now seeing one of the most influential groups, communities on the internet, period, being shut down through nefarious means. They're not outright banning the Donald, but first they did something called quarantine. So imagine, again, I'll try and simplify this. Imagine you just had a Facebook page or a Twitter account or just a high profile platform with hundreds of thousands of followers, but a site that was reaching 6 million plus visitors, people who are not subscribed. It was getting tons of traffic. They're being sent memes. They're being sent alternative, stories, things that might defend the president. When you turn on CNN, Fox, not so much Fox News, but sometimes you turn on CNN, ABC, NBC, et cetera, the mainstream media, they're going to present you with complete BS, often BS, about Trump and his administration. It's one of the most challenging things with trying to cover news these days. There was a story from The Intercept that I love covering. This is Glenn Greenwald's outlet. He is a progressive leftist. And it's called the top 20 blunders of Russiagate. And they have 10 honorable mentions, meaning 30 stories about Trump in the mainstream press that went out and a day later were retracted or corrected. And how many people shared the true information? This happens all the time. So if you're a Trump supporter and you're trying to find, hey, what's really going on? People go to The Donald. Now, of course, The Donald is absolutely biased for the president. So I'm not going to pretend like you're going to get the clearest of pictures. You're going to get the defense of Trump. But I will tell you, if you're going to go read some anti-Trump news, go read some pro-Trump news, and then go watch or read some ambivalent Trump news, and you'll get a healthier picture of what's really going on. The people who have provided the biggest defense for the president, as well as produced the majority of memes in this political cycle, I'm not kidding. This is one of the most influential communities on the internet, period, has been effectively shut down. When the administrators for Reddit removed the moderators from this forum, it basically means they can't keep up with what's being posted. All of a sudden, you'll get what's called a brigade. Leftists, communists, socialists, anarchists, whatever, Antifa, will then come in and start posting rule-breaking content, and no one can do anything about it, thus justifying the administrators and the CEO to go, well, look at all this rule-breaking content. The funny thing about this, I'm going to blow your mind right now. I'm going to try and keep this explanation as generalist as possible for those that don't get Reddit. But if I were to tell you that Donald Trump supporters were threatening police officers, what would you think? Now, most of you are probably laughing. Why would the Blue Lives Matter conservative people, of all people, be threatening police? That's ridiculous. That's what Antifa does. We've literally seen videos. The Reddit administrators put what's called a quarantine on this community because they were accused of threatening police. That has to be the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. I don't know who's expected to buy it, but it's clearly and obviously an excuse to shut down the largest Donald Trump support forum. I'm going to stop right now and say what I usually say. I don't care if you like the president or not. This is not supposed to be a defense of the president. Calm down. Y'all people are weird where they're like, here goes Tim defending the president again. I'm talking about social media censorship. And I'm talking about a group of people that are trying to present information counter to the incorrect mainstream media in defense of what they view as correct. If you let this happen, they will come for you. And yes, Reddit has actually gone after some left-wing forums, but surprisingly not nearly enough and not nearly as influential as the Donald. So here's what's happening. Donald Trump The Donald subreddit has been one of the most influential meme creators and propaganda machines to help Donald Trump. And look, you can get mad about me calling it propaganda, but listen, it's information designed to push a political slant or a politician or idea. So it definitely fits the mold. It's not always bad, especially if it's something you think is a good thing, but it's definitely a place where people produce memes in support of one political leaning. I want to show you this. This is from 2018. You need to understand how significant what's happening right now is. This is not an issue of Trump. It is not an issue of the Donald. It is an issue of the most egregious act of censorship we have seen yet. This is where internet memes come from. Two Reddit and 4chan communities are especially good at spreading and weaponizing them. June 11th, 2018. They specifically point out that it is the Donald and 4chan's poll that produce and push the memes, saying, one community stands out as being the most active overall. The Donald is the most active one when it comes to posting memes in general. It is also the subreddit where most racism and politicized memes are posted. Now, take that first part with a grain of salt because we don't know. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are going to get mad at me, but we don't know what they mean by racism. I got to be honest. What are they really talking about? Well, they mention that these communities, two relatively small communities, stand out as being particularly effective at spreading memes. We find that poll substantially influences the meme ecosystem by posting a large number of memes, while the Donald is the most efficient community in pushing memes to both fringe and mainstream web communities. A lot of the memes you've seen with Pepe and the variations of the little frog dude originated with either 4chan or with the Donald. And the thing about 4chan is they'll put it on the politically incorrect subreddit. I'm sorry, not subreddit, the politically incorrect forum. But 4chan has always been influential. For whatever reason, the people on 4chan seem to be on the forefront of internet virality. And almost all memes, like the overwhelming majority of memes, even going before Donald Trump, were coming from 4chan and everybody knew it. It then made its way to Reddit and then moved forward. We can then see how it kind of whittled down politically into poll and into the Donald. Well, now we're here. Reddit has effectively shut it down by removing tons of people and doing something else. Reddit announces it now may suspend users for simply upvoting a policy-breaking post. Reddit's new rules go beyond banning users for the content they post. They'll now ban users for supporting it with an upvote. Let me explain this. Try and simplify it. I feel like it's kind of difficult. This is a place where memes originate, and they're very, very beneficial to the president and his administration. Facebook has already taken down high-profile Trump supporters like Paul Joseph Watson, Milo Yiannopoulos, Laura Loomer, Alex Jones, etc. I am not telling you to like any of these people or to like Donald Trump. I am telling you that major tech firms are taking unethical, amoral, heavy-handed censorship positions for seemingly unjustified. I should say that it's unjustified. They're doing it for political gain, and it's going to work. It's going to work because they have been for a long time at war with Reddit, and they are angry. I'm sorry. I gotta walk back. Reddit has been at war with the community. The CEO has been at war with the Reddit users, and it's going to have a serious impact. They know it, and that's why they're taking moves now. Let me tell you something. I said last year, if you thought it was bad now, wait till you see 2020. It's going to get really bad. Over at the Donald.win, this is the Donald's backup, I suppose. They've announced they've put the original subreddit into restricted mode. So again, I'm trying to avoid this being too esoteric, but they say, we've temporarily put the subreddit into restricted mode. This means that only moderators and a few other approved members are able to post. After removing a majority of our moderators and causing a lot of drama, it goes without saying we cannot keep that community properly moderated, which was their plan. Win remains open and will be receiving our full attention. So here's what happens. Let me take you back in time and prove to you this has been in the works for a very long time. First, if you go to the Donald, you can see this quote that they include. The quote, it's cut off on my screen, but I'll read it to you. This is from the CEO of Reddit. I'm confident that Reddit could sway elections. We wouldn't do it, of course, and I don't know how many times we could get away with it. But if we really wanted to, I'm sure Reddit could have swayed at least this election this once. From the CEO of Reddit. Then let me bring you to this Wikipedia entry. Did you know that the CEO of one of the largest social media websites went into the internal code of the site and started changing the text of people's comments? That's how serious this is. The subreddit received additional coverage on November 24, 2016, when Huffman, the CEO, admitted to editing the Donald users' comments that were critical of him. Now, Wikipedia says in response to harassment, but oh, please. People saying mean things about you on the internet is not harassment. If they're coming to your house, sure, that's messed up. If they're threatening you, of course, that's illegal. No, that's not what happened. They were insulting Spez. That's his username, Spez, the CEO. And so he actually went in and says, hey, everyone, yep, I messed with the FU Spez comments, replacing Spez with the Donald mods for about an hour. It's been a long week here trying to unwind the Pizzagate stuff. As much as we try to maintain a good relationship with you, with you all, it does get old being called a certain name constantly. As the CEO, I shouldn't play such games. And it's all been fixed now. Our community team is pretty pissed at me, so I most assuredly won't do this again. And then he writes, FU Spez. Do you think that this petty, whiny, petulant little child just stopped there? Listen, I need to explain to you how serious this is. First, over on Facebook, there is a guy who works for the CIA, and you can't say his name. And if you do, they will go into the code and they will remove whatever you said without warning, without notice. I've made several posts, gone. If you thought it was bad last year or the year before, wait, you ain't seen nothing yet. They're trying everything in their power. Now, YouTube has my channel blacklisted. This channel, if you Google search it, guess what? Won't come up. Search for Tim Pool YouTube, nothing. Search for Timcast News, nothing. Well, I have a new channel because they're actively trying to suppress independent media, even from milquetoast fence sitters like me. What they want is a media that will always bend the knee and will always be critical of whoever they say you need to be critical towards. And that includes Bernie Sanders, because they hate him too. But we'll see how things fall, because this may be their last stand. Reddit is now going to ban people for simply upvoting content that breaks the rules, as if you're supposed to know what that is. You see, the CEO of Reddit didn't just stop. He realized he was a moron, and that publicly going into the code to change things like that people could see you doing and notice it happened, well, that's so obvious. So they've done other things. They've changed the rules. They've singled out the Donald community specifically, restricting access to their posts, ultimately ending up in what's called a quarantine. This means that regular people on Reddit can't see anything from the Donald. I'll tell you why this is so annoying to me. r/politics. It's the letter R, a slash, and a politics. It's a directory for the political forum on Reddit. It has around 5 or 6 million people who've subscribed to it, because over time, when you sign up for Reddit, you default get subscribed to general politics. What do you think happens when you go to the general politics page? Do you think you see, are you going to see anything that's questioning Democrats or talking about Trump? No. It is almost exclusively Trump bad, Bernie good. And therein lies the big problem. r/politics is the inversion of the Donald. They're the same thing. The difference is the Reddit administration props up this politics subreddit, and it's filled with activist websites. I'm not talking about news. You don't go to r/politics, the general, it's for everybody to have civil discussion on all political matters. Yet for some reason, it is a mirror image of the Donald. In fact, several Reddit users have even posted this to another subreddit called Unpopular Opinion. Turns out it actually is a popular opinion. People are sick and tired. You go to Reddit. I'm so annoyed by this. They'll use websites like Common Dreams, Truth Out. These are progressive activist sites, not news websites. And you go to some of these other lefty forums and they literally threaten cops and they break the rules, and Reddit does nothing about it. The CEO of Reddit is personally angry at the users of that Donald subreddit. He was so upset, he went into the code and started changing it and got caught and said, okay, I won't do it again. So do you think that's where they stopped? Of course not. They've been trying to get rid of Trump supporters for a really long time. They were mad that Hillary Clinton lost, but think about where we go in the future. Twitter actively bans tons of conservatives. Absolutely. Moderates and conservatives, basically anybody who pushes back on the establishment. because it does affect anti-war leftists too. Because the conservatives make up a much larger faction, you're going to see way more Trump supporters and conservatives being banned than like progressive anti-war people. The progressive anti-war people on Twitter are distinct from, your standard progressive, intersectional, or Democrat. So case in point, Glenn Greenwald's The Intercept. He was very, very critical of Russiagate while still being critical of Trump, saying the establishment's lying. And of course, he was right, because now they're weaponizing those same smears against Bernie Sanders. So again, I don't care who you like or who you don't like. When Trump is the other side of that coin. So you basically have within the Democratic Party, the establishment and the progressives. And then on the right, you have Trump. Because the Trump base is substantially larger, they're more likely to be impacted, especially considering Trump is going to win and Bernie would probably lose. And the establishment is trying to shut out Bernie. So they are screwing with Bernie. They are manipulating it in certain ways, but they don't have to worry too much. They can take they're going to try and stop him at the convention. It's very different when you have a faction twice as large. Now they're going nuts. Here's what I think. I think these people are ideologues. They think they're smarter than you. They think they're better than you. They don't want a natural flow of memes or opinions, and they don't want anybody to use a system they built in a way that they don't like. It results in YouTube suppressing my content, which they do, and they got to be very careful about it. Here's what I've said before. If you like my content, don't be surprised if one day it's gone. But they know better than to outright ban someone like me. You see, I'm the milquetoast fence sitter. I'm not someone like Steven Crowder, and they went after Crowder. Crowder is much more conservative. I mean, he's literally conservative. I'm not. And he's much more pro-Trump. I'm not. And they've tried messing with him. But they got to be careful. Because if they go in and just, say, snap the rope right away and the bridge goes falling, then all the conservatives fall in the pit. Everyone's going to freak out, and it's going to be a major scandal. So here's what they do. Actually, let me tell you a story. I'm going to give you an anecdote. This is one of my favorite stories about the incrementalization of manipulation. When eBay first started, the website was yellow. One day they decided yellow is harsh on the eyes, so we're going to change it to white, make the background white. Everyone complains. They get inundated with emails saying the website is ugly, change it back. This is not the site I'm used to. I'm confused. And so they had to change it back. Every day after that, they slowly incremented one shade at a time, very, very slowly, until about a year later, the whole site was white and no one said anything. They did it gradually every single day, slightly changing it. And that was a big lesson for people on the internet. Right now, Reddit knew they needed to ban the Donald, but if they shut it down, then everyone's going to freak out. It's going to be major news. There's going to be accusations of censorship. Politicians will start calling them in. What they're doing now is trying to fly past the Republican politicians. And it's going to work, mostly in my opinion, because Republicans are morons. The politicians, mind you. The voters, vote on what they think is right. The problem, however, is you end up with a bunch of these politicians who, I'll give some credit. Matt Gaetz, Hawley, and Cruz have done a pretty good job of calling this out, but there's only so much they can do, and there's only so much that's been done. It's still happening. It'll get worse, and they will lose because of it. And I've said this before, that the Republican politicians are too stupid to realize how this will be the end of their careers. And maybe they'll win 2020. We'll see. I think they will. That's why this is happening. It's a long game. So here's what's going to happen. If they came out right now and banned the Donald, just boom, ban hammer, wiped out, you'd see a bunch of Republicans stand up and say, oh, humph. What is this? And they'd call people in for Senate hearings. They'd make demands, and these companies might be forced to backpedal. They do it slowly. They seed fake posts as if a Trump supporter is going to threaten cops. That's insane. They're not even good at what they're trying to claim they're doing. What they're actually doing. It's like, dude, you could just here's what happens. There's another subreddit called r/Trump. I'm not super familiar with it. It's much, much smaller. And already leftists are coming in and posting racist things. Now you're going to get the Reddit admins being like, oh no, look at what your users are doing. And it's like, dude, it's a web forum. It's part of your website. You should be policing this. So here's what happens. A couple posts pop up that said stupid things. The Reddit admins say, oh, there it is. Now we have to quarantine you. This means no one on the site will actively see the Donald. Then they did something else. You have to verify your account with an email address. That made it even harder for regular people to access the Donald. Then they said, if you upvote a basic function of the site, something we deem to be policy breaking, we'll suspend you. That's a threat. And now they're taking the moderators away. One step at a time, they are wiping out Trump communities and Trump supporters because they didn't want Trump to win in the first place. And this is the power they control, and they're going to use it. Because they're doing it slowly, I think you're going to see that your politicians, the ones you voted for, Trump supporters, Republicans, are too stupid to do anything about it. I get it. Hawley, Gates, Cruz have done a good job, but nothing's going to happen. Nothing will happen. Look, how many hearings have been had? How many complaints have been made? We've known about the problem for so long, and it just keeps getting worse. You can go to actual forums on Reddit where you can actually see them every single day talk about breaking the law, hurting police, committing crimes, and Reddit does not care. And some of these forums are around half the size of the Donald, but for some reason, it's just the people who support Donald Trump. And for some reason, they're trying to claim that people who support Donald Trump are going after cops. It sounds moronic, but maybe that's the point. They're flaunting it. Either they're morons, which may be the case, or they're flaunting it. I'll tell you what, though. I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I'll wrap up on this. These Republican politicians are never going to solve this. The left is going to paradoxically claim the corporations are too powerful, but corporations in this case can do whatever they want. But Reddit's a private platform. They can ban whoever they want, even if it results in the manipulation of an election. And they'll start doing it to Bernie next because it's been happening every step of the way. This is why look, man, I've said it since the beginning. If you do not stop them when they go for the conservatives, it will be Bernie next. And guess what's happened? Already, they've been doing the Russia smears against Bernie. And if you think it's bad now, wait until the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, comes up. They are going to start tearing Bernie to shreds. To shreds, I say. And you're going to sit back and laugh because you don't like Trump supporters, and then it'll come for you. Because, look, Trump's a populist and so is Bernie. The establishment will not be stopped because no one's going to do anything about it. Because Trump supporters are getting banned, the Democrats, even the progressive ones, are laughing. Ha, 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 they say. Yep, until it comes for you. Then you're going to sure wish you came to the defense of the conservatives and the Trump supporters. Hey, look, man, if you think Bernie can beat Trump, you should absolutely be defending Trump supporters and Donald Trump on these forums. Because if you don't, then who's going to be there to defend you when they come and start banning your content? This is one of the biggest moves we have seen yet in election interference and the culture war. And if you think it's bad now, just give it a few months. Primary season isn't over, but we'll see. Because I will tell you this. I think the Democratic establishment would rather have Trump than Bernie. So we'll see how it plays out. I will end by saying one final thing. The CEO of Reddit was caught and admitted to manipulating internal website code to change what people were saying. To put it in non-Reddit terms, imagine if you tweeted, "I happen to like chocolate ice cream," and Jack Dorsey went in and changed what you said to "I hate chocolate ice cream." And then all of a sudden people started yelling at you and complaining. That's what the CEO did. He used his power. He abused his power. And do you think he stopped there? Nah, you're nuts. And if he's doing it here, don't you realize they're probably doing it across the entire website? So if you're an anarchist, if you're a Bernie supporter or a commie, don't be surprised if he's doing the same thing to you guys and you won't speak up about it. Then you fine, whatever. Then you deserve it. I'll stop now. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all there.